Welcome to the Healing Cocoon. I'm Jacobie Gray, soul alignment and success coach and energy healer, which means I can intuit the subtle layers of your energy field to promote ultimate health and well-being. My goal for this podcast is to shed light on the healing journey itself and help you feel more supported as you embark on the process of unpacking your past to consciously create your present and start living the life of your dreams. Through the study of coaching, kinesiology, holographic kinetics, meditation, Reiki, the chakra system, and many other modalities, I've learned how to release the blocks that were holding me back. Now I'd love to help you do the same. By embarking on your own self-healing process, you'll see the world transforming around you in ways you never thought possible. You'll begin to experience more connection, clarity, love, fulfillment, synchronicity, and success than you've ever had before. So welcome to the Ascension. Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome back to the Healing Cocoon podcast. Today is Friday, so it's a Metamorphosis Chat, and we are traveling up through the chakras each week. So we started with the root chakra, and now we're up to chakra number 5. It's the 5th week, the throat chakra, which is otherwise known as, in Sanskrit, the Vishuddha. And something I realized I haven't been telling you guys along the way is what the meaning of these Sanskrit words are or is. And I mean, obviously, I'm telling you about the chakra, and you could say, well, Vishuddha for the throat chakra means everything I'm about to tell you in relation to the 3 major attributes of this chakra. But actually, to clarify that or singulate it into one word, it would be purification. So Vishuddha means purification, and that is because this chakra is all about your integrity, your ability to speak openly and honestly. It's how, for example, if the 3rd chakra, the solar plexus, is all about how visible you're willing to allow yourself to be in terms of your radiance, then this chakra is how audible you allow yourself to be. How much are you allowing your voice to be heard? So just to run back through the chakras up until this one, the root chakra, Sanskrit name is Muladhara, and that means root support. Literally, it's our foundation. So that's how secure we feel. And when we feel secure in ourselves, we can move up to the sacral chakra, which the Sanskrit name is Svadhisthana. And that chakra, or that word, means sweetness. And that is how much pleasure you allow yourself to feel. And if you think about it, if you're still in survival mode in your root chakra, you're probably not allowing yourself to experience or don't even have the bandwidth to experience pleasure in your life. Some people have an ability to, always look on the bright side, see the silver lining. And even though they have very little, they have an ability to tap into deep gratitude for that. But most of us, when we're caught in survival mode and we're just literally trying to keep a roof over our heads, we're not really giving much time to weight to our own pleasure and how much we're experiencing it, whether it's pleasure in our relationships, our sexual pleasure, our ability to do things for ourselves like our self-love. So that is the Svadhisthana, that's the sacral chakra. Then once we have kind of cleared and moved through that, we can move up to our solar plexus chakra, and the Sanskrit name is Manipura, and that means lustrous gem. And that's because this chakra is our internal fire. It's our radiance. It's how brightly we allow ourselves to shine. This chakra is all about your self-esteem, your confidence, and ego on the flip side, and your ability to transcend that. So this is the chakra of transformation. But this is all about how brightly will you shine. Then the heart chakra, Sanskrit name is Anahata, and that means unstruck. So it's an interesting word, but essentially it's meaning harmony or balance. And that is how much love do we allow ourselves to feel? How much peace? How much compassion and forgiveness have we found within ourselves so that we can find peace and make peace with the situations that have hurt us in the past, and therefore we become unstruck? Because if we are struck, think about it like a lightning bolt hits you and then you're fried, right? And you're a quivering mess, and then that often becomes your identity. So the ability to become unstruck is your ability to reestablish homeostasis. That is the ability of the heart chakra. It's all about healing. And once you've found that healing, you can move up to the fifth chakra, the throat chakra, the Vishuddha, which is all about purification. And this is when you can start really fine-tuning your integrity. So, as I always do, running through the sort of basics of this chakra, the element is sound for obvious reasons, the throat chakra. The color is blue. Our lotus petals are 16, so we've been getting more and more and more as we go. The signifying statement of this chakra is I speak. And you will find it nestled in the throat, which is in your neck. It's your voice box. It's all of that area there. And I've been talking about the dominant, I suppose I've been calling them the dominant emotions up until this point. So the root chakra was fear. The sacral was guilt. The solar was shame. The heart was grief. As we move up into these three higher chakras, and remember I said that the bottom three chakras and the top three chakras, they kind of meet in the heart space. So the bottom three are taking us closer to earth, and the top three are taking us close to heaven. And the meeting place in the heart is where we're all trying to achieve that beautiful space of balance between the two. So the throat chakra is the first one that's taking us up the ladder towards universal consciousness. And there, we're no longer ruled by emotions so much in the next three chakras because they're very human. They're very of the earth. So the dominant, I guess, I don't know, factor, indicator, element perhaps. Well, no, because the element is sound, just like the element of the solar was fire and the element of the heart was air. This one's sound. So element isn't the right word, but the factor is lies. And I spoke earlier about your integrity, and I'll speak more on that. But I guess this is the strongest negative impact of this chakra, I guess we could say. It has a lot of weight and will tend to express itself when it's blocked or when it's out of balance through lies or misspeaking or not speaking. And sometimes not speaking is also potentially telling a lie, because if you're not speaking your truth, anything other than that expression of your truth is your untruth, right? So I guess we're getting a bit philosophical now, but so the primary function of this chakra is communication. It is ruled by the planet Mercury, which is the planet of communication, and rules Gemini if you're into astrology at all. And you'll know that that is one of the biggest and most alluring factors of any Gemini is their whip smart wit, their ability to communicate. You know, you don't really want to get into a fight with a Gemini. They're pretty good at expressing themselves, generally. Don't want to overgeneralize here, but generally they are. So the three main attributes of this chakra is modulation, creative expression, and integrity. So modulation. This chakra is all about our ability to modulate how we're being perceived, I suppose, but how we're perceiving others, how we're expressing ourselves. Are we speaking too loudly? Are we speaking too much? Are we cutting other people off? So it's about our ability to listen. Are we an active listener? Are we a really bad listener? Do we have no listening skills at all? It's also about feeling seen and heard. And I guess being seen probably also comes to the solar plexus chakra, because there is a lot wrapped up in that chakra around our confidence. However, the next step, and the saying is to be seen and heard, is one thing to be seen, your radiance, your solar, but the next thing is to be heard. How willing are you? How bold are you to express yourself? And that then moves into the element of creative expression and creativity, which is a major attribute of this chakra, but just keeping it in the modulation section. This is about your clarity of communication. It's how accurately you can exchange information. Are you speaking clearly? Are you interpreting what you're hearing correctly? And are you responding appropriately? And at school, primary school, I think I remember, I think here in America it's called elementary school. I remember it being called comprehension, and I have no idea. I mean, look, I was in primary school a very long time ago, let's face it. It's probably evolved and has a whole fancy new name now. But back then, it was literally called comprehension, and they were testing not just your ability to read and write. So could you write the letters? And could you form those letters into words, and could you read those words? Beyond that is your ability to comprehend. So are you understanding what it is that you're reading? So the cat sat on the mat. You may be able to logically sound that out, and phonetically you understand it, you can speak it, you can read it, you can put the letters together, you have the ability to write it, but do you understand the image or what the cat sitting on the mat actually is? So it's all about comprehension, and your ability to, this chakra is in charge of all of that stuff. And all the chakras obviously are intertwined and impact each other, but there's a really key relationship between the throat and the heart chakra, because the heart chakra, a happy heart is a fully expressed heart, and that is expressed of all its love, its pain, its grief, its vulnerability. Whether you're sharing your deepest thoughts and feelings, or whether you're sharing your greatest love and passions, it's your ability to share vulnerably. So you can feel all these things in your heart. But if your throat is shut down, you can't speak these things. You can't communicate these things. So often when we have experienced a great traumatic incident in our childhood and it hurts so much, and we can't process that, one of the ways we can shut the heart space down, I mean, you can actually shut your heart space down, and that is one thing that I'm doing with a lot of people, is literally opening up their heart space. But another way, it's kind of like you can close the door on your heart, but if you want to put a big fat padlock on there and make sure that is locked down, then you want to shut down your throat chakra as well. Because if the throat can't even speak what the heart is beginning to feel, then you are safe. Am I right? I mean, this is in very unconscious childhood logic, right? These are the things we need to do to protect ourselves as children, but don't actually serve us as we grow into adults and we're trying to express ourselves. And that's what we're on this planet to do, to be an expression of our soul. And it is our throat that is literally the portal of expression. This is how we are speaking our manifestations out into reality. This is why people are always talking about affirmations. You know, you're trying to manifest something, so you speak an affirmation around it, and you speak like our words have power. Our word can be our sword, all of that. So if you feel constricted or restricted, and okay, so you know what? I've already started moving into, I suppose, the second attribute of this chakra now, which is creative expression. I'm jumping in here because I want to ask you a question. Have you ever considered coaching and energy clearing as an option to support your personal healing journey? We often turn to therapy for unpacking the past, but what about what you want to create for your future? Coaching is a great tool for defining the action steps that will move you forward, and energy clearing removes the resistance to those action steps. So my unique offering, called The Blend, which is a combination of the two, can be complementary to your deep dive into past traumas with your therapist, or used as a tool on its own to radically strip away the energetics that no longer serve you, so you can consciously define the parameters of your life. Because most people's lives are defined by the parameters of their mind, not the other way around. Coaching and energy clearing makes conscious what is unconscious, so that you no longer are a servant to your outdated protective programming, noisy thought patterns, family energetics, and whatever else is going on inside your mind. So if you'd like to learn more about The Blend and how it could support you transitioning into a more fulfilled version of yourself and your life, go to our website, which is also listed in the show notes of this episode, at www.urbanascension.co, that's .co, not .com, and schedule a free half-hour discovery call with me, because I would love to chat about what's holding you back and how I can help you move forward. And if you've got that pendulum from, or that scale going from complete shutdown to complete full expression, how creatively, I guess. So, okay, let me gather my thoughts here, because I talked about in the sacral chakra metamorphosis chat how that chakra is all about creativity, and I did reference the throat because creativity is also, this is such an important chakra. Not only are we shutting down the heart or expressing the heart through this chakra, but we're also expressing our creativity, which is birthed in the sacral chakra. So if you're someone who is not feeling aligned in your life with your pleasure, and I'll tell you now, your soul purpose is your pleasure. So the things that make you happy and truly happy, not, you might be like, oh, I just want to sit down and like watch Netflix and eat chocolate. Well, both of those mechanisms are actually avoiding the other feelings of potential tiredness, exhaustion, overworked. Like, it's okay for self-love, but you don't want to be checking out like that. It's kind of a numbing tool, Netflix or chocolate. But let's say you were passionate about chocolate to the point where you were curious about the cacao, and you wanted to know how chocolate was made and what are the different ingredients and how do they impact the taste of the chocolate, and where do the different cacao beans come from? And, if you're a coffee connoisseur, like, it's one thing to drink coffee and say, you're enjoying that because it's getting you through the day. It's another thing to get pleasure from the whole experience of coffee to the point where you're so curious to know more. And you want to share that pleasure with other people. You want to say, hey, guys, I just got this new coffee. I want you to come and try it. Let's do a coffee tasting. So your soul purpose could be to become a coffee maker, because coffee and everything about coffee brings you joy, and everything about chocolate brings you joy. Not just, I've had an exhausting week, everything has drained me, all I want to do is sit down in front of the TV and eat chocolate. So I'm completely off track now, but in terms of coming back to our creative expression and your purpose, and when you're aligned with your purpose And you will know because you feel deep pleasure and you want to know more about it. You want to go into it even more. You want to unpack it. And then that becomes a natural process of expressing that pleasure, which the throat chakra is in charge of. So your creative expression, which first begins in the sacral, that is where it's birthed. But the natural progression of that chakra is through the throat and out into the world, sharing it with everybody, because that's what we're here on this planet to do, right? And no task is too big or too small. Absolutely, you've got people who are on this earth to be great orators, presidents, or public figures who are Martin Luther King, who is inspiring people through the resonance of his voice to establish an entire movement that changes humanity. And then, yeah, you have someone who is just so passionate about coffee that they develop a whole new bean that is is brings joy to people on a daily basis. So what I'm trying to say is no purpose is too great or too small, and you will know your purpose through your pleasure. The expression of that purpose and that pleasure will come through your throat chakra, and it's how dynamically you express yourself. Are you submissive? Are you cautious? Are you constricted or restricted in the expression of that creativity? Or are you constantly in a mode of storytelling? And I mean, that's something to be said about that. You know, there are some people, and we're like, oh, they're so grandiose, and they're always like, you know, telling all of these dramatic stories, and they're living in their head. But one element of creative expression is storytelling, because that is how we communicate. That is how we originally, before we had reading and writing, it is the oldest form of passing on information, because our brains naturally remember metaphors. We can put ourselves into a story, and we can see ourselves as the lead character, and we can have a growth experience, or we can receive and retain new knowledge through a story. So one of the greatest aspects of this chakra and creative expression is your ability to tell stories. So if you're in a relationship that is really, you know, sort of toxic, or you grew up as a child and it was like children should be seen and not heard, or, you know, don't cry, boys don't cry. It's all of these, common sayings that we have. They all come back to the throat chakra to shut down our ability to express ourselves. So if you've got a little boy who's told repeatedly, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, the expression of a cry through, it's not just the trauma and the damage of swallowing your emotions, but you're literally constricting your voice and your expression. And if you're holding on in your throat to your vulnerability, how then can you express your greatest joy? So this chakra is going to be in a really healthy place, and you'll know that this chakra is really, really healthy when you feel comfortable and not even concerned with judgment when it comes to expressing your vulnerability and your creativity. And I mean, it's a human element, isn't it, to be slightly concerned with how people are going to receive us. But it's when that concern actually stops you from speaking. That's when there's work to do in this chakra. And so once we get to that place of being able to creatively express ourselves and our vulnerability, it now becomes about integrity, because this is where the lies comes into it. This is the deceit. This is the manipulation. Like, you think about just advertising, And that in itself is a manipulative form of communication. So you have to ask yourself, or those people who are creating that, what is the integrity behind that? Are they willing to stand behind that? And everyone has a different measure of integrity and morality and ethics. And everybody needs to, I was about to say everybody needs to listen to what's right for them. But if you are coming from a very traumatized place and what is right for you is to express yourself in a way that is going to really hurt other people, then obviously that's not okay. But the whole point of this chakra is pulling ourselves out of that place where we're using our throat and our voice and our communication mechanism as a way of manipulating someone, whether it's our self-worth is low, we don't feel lovable, our self-esteem is just in tatters on the floor, and so we start communicating in ways that it's like passive aggressive. We don't feel like we can ask for love. We don't feel like we can ask for what we want. And so we find ways of doing that rather than clearly saying, oh, I noticed when you did that, I felt this, and I'm trying to take responsibility for that, and I want to work through that. Can we have a conversation about that? Because I'd just love to know why, your reasons, like what inspired you to do that, so I can process a little bit easier my part in that, which was my reaction, right? So integrity, I think it's like, it's keeping secrets, it's gossiping, it's speaking badly about people, it's not speaking to someone's face what you say about them behind their back, it's trolling, it's all of that stuff. All this stuff is the throat chakra. And let's face it, people can use their creative expression in really bad ways. So Hitler, for example, I haven't watched, I don't know a lot about him, but he was someone who inspired an entire movement that was horrific and damaging and a huge crime against humanity. And so the highest elevation of this chakra is when you get to the point of expressing yourself with integrity. And there's a lot of I guess there's a lot of questions. I mean, I know I went through the breakdown of my marriage and that period in the year after, integrity and how I was operating was a lesson that I was being handed over and over and over like a shit sandwich. And the universe was calling me to step up into alignment. And it was hard because I had a lot of patterning in my past and a lot of hurt and a lot of betrayal that caused me to act out and to operate in ways that were, I had to keep secrets for a long time as a child. And so I hadn't learned how to express myself freely and appropriately. And so that resulted in all kinds of things that, ended up being my part in the breakdown of the marriage, for not being able to communicate properly, not being able to operate, ask for what I wanted, not being able to operate with the highest form of integrity. And it's something we're all working towards, guys. Very few people are born onto this planet already in alignment with their integrity, although perhaps a baby is, I don't know, and then we fuck them up, like who knows. But it is definitely something that you mature into. It is part of your healing, and the more you heal, the more you seek self-awareness, the more you step into alignment with your integrity. I didn't realize how much I loved the throat chakra until this chat. And you know what's really funny? I ate like a protein bar before this, and a little bit of it is stuck in my throat, and I've kind of been battling that through this chat. I don't know if you've heard me, kind of my voice kind of like, I don't know, quavering every now and then. But yeah, that's ironic, isn't it? Anywho, I'll leave it there, guys. Throat chakra, a very important chakra for the manifestation of ourselves, our goals, our dreams, our desires on this planet. I hope you enjoyed this chat today, and I look forward to seeing you next week for the third eye. I hope this episode has inspired you to keep going on what can sometimes be a tough road to inner peace and true happiness. If you want to dive deeper into what we talked about today, go to thehealingcocoon.co for show notes and all things personal growth. And don't forget, if you're loving The Healing Cocoon, then put that love into action and subscribe, rate and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you download your podcasts. And until next time, my friends, let's rise and shine together.